footballgameplan.com, where football makes sense. I'm Emery Hunt, the czar of the playbook. Bring you our fan choice game of the week preview between the North Dakota State Bison and the Kansas State Wildcats. Now let's take a look at some keys to victory for both teams, starting with North Dakota State.
Looking at the two-time FCS national champion North Dakota State Bison in this matchup, and they're going to have to come in and right away play Bison football, which is running the ball, controlling the clock, operating off play action, and playing very good defense. And they have to put the ball in Ryan Smith's hands quickly. He's an outstanding receiver. He has that agility to make you miss and has the speed to take it the distance. And linebacker play will be key. They have Grant Olson, Travis Beck. Those guys are outstanding backers, and they're going to have to control the front seven of that defense and slow down the running game of Kansas State. Now let's move over to Kansas State in this ball game. And when you look at the Wildcats, let's focus on the defensive side of the football. Some huge losses on that side. Anytime you lose a guy the caliber of Arthur Brown, your defense will take a step back. But this week versus North Dakota State, they're going to have to win on first down defensively. You want to back up that Bison offense, force him to throw the football, and that way you can have some success. When you look at the quarterback situation, Jake Waters and Daniel Sams are two guys that have unique talent. Sams is more of a runner. Waters is a guy that can do both. But either way, they're going to have to be efficient. I don't know who's going to be the starter in this ball game, but both quarterbacks, if they play, will have to be efficient. The X factor in this ball game for the Bison is quarterback Brock Jensen. In order for North Dakota State to win this matchup versus Kansas State, they're going to have to do it with a balanced offense. And we know K-State will come in, load up the box, and try to slow down Sam Ojuri and put the Bison in backed up situations. So you have to get Jensen in a groove early, and that could be the key component to a victory on the road. The X factor for the Wildcats will be their defensive line. They went JUCO heavy in the recruiting efforts to try to beef up that defensive front, and they can't underestimate the size of the offensive linemen of the Bison. They're a huge up front, led by left tackle Billy Turner. So if they can hold their own, North Dakota State won't be able to run the football, so that defensive line really has to come to play this week. Now here's some of my coaching points for both teams in this matchup. For North Dakota State, you have to come in and break your tendencies. Everyone knows you want to run the football on first and second down. You got to break that, hit them with the element of surprise, and you can have some success. And you also have to win up front on offense. You have the size advantage with your offensive line versus a rebuilt defensive front of Kansas State. You have to win that battle. And when you're facing a Bill Snyder coach team, it's imperative that you win the special teams battle. That goes without say. Now for Kansas State, you want to make Brock Jensen beat you throwing the football. Stop the run, win early, force him to make plays consistently throwing the football, and you can have a chance. And when you look at their receiving core, Lockett and Thompson, they're going to have to win those individual matchups versus the North Dakota State Bison defensive backs. Very talented secondary out there in Fargo, North Dakota. And they have to get those early wins defensively. We talked about that earlier. Winning the early down and distances gives you a better chance to be successful versus the two-time FCS national champion. Now here are some of the 2014 draft prospects you want to keep an eye on in this ball game. Left tackle Bill Turner, 6'6", 305 pounds, a stalwart on the left side of that offensive line for North Dakota State. And Marcus Williams, one of the best cornerbacks in the country regardless of division. Keep an eye on him. For Kansas State, Ty Zimmerman, a guy that makes play after play on the back end. He's an outstanding safety. Left tackle Cornelius Lucas has the size that you look for, 6'9", 330 pounds, and has the footwork of a guard. Now center BJ Finney is a junior prospect, but keep an eye on him. Very stout in the middle of that offensive front. Phil Hansen went on to an outstanding career for the Buffalo Bills, but it started in Fargo, North Dakota. Here's a guy that had the all-time school record for sacks with 41 and 32 pass breakups as a defensive end, was named to the Division II Football Hall of Fame. You can knock his size all you want to, but at Kansas State, Darren Sproles was the man. He finished his Wildcat career with nearly 5,000 yards rushing at 6.1 yards a carry and 45 rushing touchdowns. This game has all of the ingredients for a week one upset, but I'm going with Kansas State in this matchup, and it's not about the skill positions. Although the Wildcats are more explosive, their offensive line, in my opinion, is the best in the country, and that will be the key catalyst to a close week one victory versus North Dakota State. Now, the Bison have beaten Minnesota twice, Colorado State, Kansas, and Wyoming. And they're going to be game, and they're going to be a very tough opponent. But a Bill Snyder coach Kansas State team is something that they haven't faced and is a totally different animal.